Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Lupita, ¿cómo estás? Mi hermana, ¿cómo estás?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I am doing fine, Lupita. Earlier, because of this stuff that we have now, the transition into the room, it's a little bit more hectic than before because we have a great program that now precedes this program. But you know what? We make it work, don't
That's
we?
the Doomsday Hive.
What is it called?
Doomsday Hive.
The Doomsday.
If you want to tune in, that's right after Jazz Latino, right before Politics Done Right.
All right. Well, we are going to have, folks, a great show for you today. I'm kind of looking at our Facebook feed here to see exactly why we are not completely up yet, but we are going to be up in a little bit. Folks. It's a difficult time, right? It's a very difficult time. But what we have to be sure of, what we have to make sure of is that we stay in the game. All the powers that be, let me tell you what their goal is. Their goal is to ensure that we stay out of the game. And we cannot do that. We have to remain bold. We have to remain always engaged. We have to ensure that there's nothing that's going to stop us from doing what we all know we have to do. Healthcare is going to be a huge issue in the election. It's going to be a huge issue in the election. And what we have to do is make sure and be prepared. Lupita, there's a good way to get to it. If you go to our Facebook page, the Politics Done Right Facebook page, it's the link is in there, and then you can definitely go directly then to the it'll bring up the exact broadcast that we're doing today. So what I want to talk about today is something, again, it starts out very personal because it happened to us on Christmas. And what I want to do is take us through what's going on in America. Because this stuff is serious. Americans don't get to interface with the healthcare system all the time right away. They interface with a healthcare system just when they need healthcare. And you know what? 99% of us are just fine most of the times. 99% of us are just fine most of the times. But you know what? The one time, as you're going to hear from the blog of the week that we're going to play as soon as we find it. Was it found yet, or we're still looking? Great. Yeah, great. Now, let me tell you, as it turns out, I'm going to go ahead and start with the program as everybody out there searches for that. So the title of the program today is Don't Let Them Scare Us Away from Demanding Medicare for All Health Care. Why? Why? Because, folks, the story that I'm going to reveal to you is a story that's going to happen to us all, or to a large percentage of us. Don't ever doubt that is what's going to be happening. Don't ever doubt that is the reality that will face us all. So, let me get into it because this is important. Let me get into it. Title of the show, Don't let them scare us away from demanding Medicare for all. Subtitle of the show is Millions of Americans are in pain as our healthcare system either kills them or transfers their assets to the healthcare industrial complex, causing many to go bankrupt. Many of you are going to say, Berta, you're always talking about Medicare for all. Yes, I am always talking about Medicare for all. You know why, people? Because we have a major election that is going on right now. We have an election that is going to determine the future of this, not the future of this country solely, but the future of you. This is going to determine if you stand the possibility of becoming bankrupt. This is going to tell exactly how things are going to go through. What's interesting is the disaster that is our healthcare system hit home once again. I have been navigating our evil healthcare system for decades. Having a wife with lupus and being self-employed means you are a sucker to the insurance industry and the healthcare industrial complex. Obamacare was a temporary reprieve, but as any law written by the industry, it began to morph into an unaffordable morass once again. A Trumpist friend of mine, yes, a Trumpist friend. And by the way, Lupita, the particular internet server that is working like a champ now that I'm able to successfully upload is the Wi-Fi studio. So that one is working at full speed. A Trumpist friend of mine who has no faith in the system as she is living through the inability to use Obamacare is proof positive why, if progressives are to expand the base, timidity and appeasement of the industry is no answer. On Christmas, my family had its second health care blow. You see, my mother-in-law got a massive stroke. She passed away last week, but when we believed she was going to make it, however, incapacitated, the picture we saw ahead was severe financial strain, including her having to lose everything. Later in the show, I will tell you about that story. But, yesterday I received 2 calls, Lupita. I received 2 calls. By the way, did you find it or are we okay? We cool? Okay. I can't hear you, though.
Yes, we're good. We got it all situated.
Hey, folks, let me tell you something. We have two great engineers working in there with one of our systems slow, one of our systems fast. And that's why that's why we need your support, people, because we have to get these networks all fast so that we can bring you the programming as you need it, as you require. Right, Lupita?
That's right.
Absolutely. We got to get that done. But anyhow, folks, yesterday I received a call. I received 2 calls from listeners to Politics Done Right Daily that broke my heart and almost brought me to tears. I will bring those 2 stories as well later on. One was a breast cancer case in San Antonio. The other one was a mother who didn't want to have all her assets given away to the healthcare industrial complex just because. Anyhow, our evil healthcare system has to go. But before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 3 p.m.
And of course, we have Dwayne Bradley and crew
with Open Journal Mondays at 6 p.m.
And we have Afro-Latino, Jazz-Latino, Afro-Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores. Besides today, it was hosted by me. If you were there, I hope you tuned in. If not, you can go to the archive
and listen to Jazz Latino. Lupita, let me tell you, I remember you told me, hey, Juan is going to be in Cuba. And because he's going to be in Cuba, you're going to be taking over. And I'm like, yeah, a new voice. And I said I was going to make sure and tune in as I left Kingwood. And I listened all the way from Kingwood. I said, listen to Lupita, La Voz.
I actually had like about 4 people call in to let me know that they really enjoyed the show. And they hope that Juan will let me do it more.
Yeah, well, I mean, you bring a flavor. All of us like different flavors and so forth. Juan is wonderful. Juan is el master.
Yeah.
But, having a flavor, it's great. But then we have Generation Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bagra, Bollywood, funk, Hindi, Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats. And that is when?
It's right after this show from 4 to 6 p.m.
And that features one of the greats here, Naboo, who I tell you guys know what I do on my way home to Kingwood. Today I was listening in to Lupita coming into Kingwood. I'll be listening out, leaving with the one and only Generation Radio and Naboo. Anyhow, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please, por favor, remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information. Lupita, it's not influenced by whom again?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely not. And folks, the blog of the week today It's 15 minutes long. I want you guys to sit back. I beg of thee. I ask of thee. I plead. I implore you to please listen to this blog of the week. So, Lupita, please let that baby fly. It's time for the weekly blog post. Granny's Ordeal, an evil healthcare system cloaked in the trapping of beauty. Have you been to a hospital complex lately? In Houston, where I'm at, they are constantly building them or upgrading them. They're beautiful. I go over to where my mother-in-law is right now. It's beautiful. I go to the medical center here in Houston. It's beautiful. I go to satellite centers throughout the Houston area to visit folks who have been placed in the hospital. It's beautiful. Some of them look better than most hotels. It's beautiful. But the health care they provide sucks your wealth and our tax dollars. It is an evil enterprise, and here is why. I own a software developed company. I have always carried my own private insurance with very high deductibles, co-pays, and premiums. I could afford it then, but understood why a large portion of Americans not getting employer health care had to go without. Shameful. If I added all the premiums I've paid over the years, I have paid out many times more than I received in services. Theoretically, that is okay. In pure insurance parlance, they bet you will not get sick enough to be a risk to them. And you bet the converse. You bet I'm going to get sick, so I want to make sure to have insurance so that they pay. That's your bet. That is how a true insurance system works, right? If you lose, you win because you are marginally healthy at least. So, I don't mind having had paid that. Well, I do mind because I was built. I do mind because I pay too much. But I don't mind not having to get back the money I put in because that is what insurance is. All of us put money together, and those who are unlucky to get sick, their health care is paid for. Look, I'd rather stay healthy, pay that money, and not ever have to see a doctor, not ever have to see a hospital. I much prefer that. But for those who are unlucky to get sick, in a true good insurance system, they don't worry, they don't get bankrupt or anything. But that's not what we have, people. Our economic system attempts to make everything a product. The thing is, most products are real choices. Basic healthcare isn't. You break a leg, you cannot easily shop around. You get cancer in a humane system, you would not forego care because you cannot afford it. In fact, that statement alone is immoral. It degrades into an ability to pay, else suffering or death. In other words, you can't pay, suffer, or die. You can't pay, there's another element to that. GoFundMe, suffer, or die. Beg, suffer, or die. An economic system in a civilized society should be based on everyone having basic health care as part of said system. Roads are not an afterthought. We don't say, well, we may have some roads here, not some roads. We have roads. It's necessary for commerce. It's necessary to move around. They are necessary for a functioning society. We have a tendency to have an economic system that reveres capital and penalizes humanity. Reveres capital. Oh, if it has, the first thing anybody ever asks you about a tax bill or about some policy, some social policy is, how is it going to affect business? We never first hear, how is it going to affect human beings? How is it going to make everybody else's lives better? How is it going to make us a better society? You don't hear that. We first think capital, capital, capital. That's inhumane. That's immoral. But they don't want to cloak it that way. They want to cloak it as you want free stuff. No, we want an equitable society where all have equal access to success. That's all we want. That is all we want. We don't want free stuff. We don't want all these things. We want a society that functions and give everybody equal access to success. It was about 1:30 p.m. on Christmas Day. All of our family started arriving for our 2 p.m. meal. Linda, my wife, set the time. Everyone knows whether you are present or not, dinner is served. Dinner service will begin. This Christmas would be different, and it is life-changing. For Linda, it's life-changing. For me, it is life-changing. For the family, it is life-changing. For quite a few people. While taking a shower, Linda ran into the bathroom. My mother is not talking and her mouth is twisted to one side, she said. I'm calling 911. Granny was sitting on the couch catatonic. By the time I got to the room, My daughter, who was home for her break, she's a third-year med student, was already doing pupil dilation tests and some other stuff. She looked at me with grave concern. Yes, Dad, she said. It is a stroke, a bad one. Linda was helping Granny up the stairs the night before, and her right knee gave out. She said she felt dizzy. We took her to the emergency room. They did some tests, gave her Tylenol, and sent her back home, even though she could hardly walk. On the morning of the day of the stroke, she felt somewhat better, but my daughter said the stroke was likely in progress from the night before and likely may have been caught before it got as bad. My mother-in-law's Medicare is handled by WellCare, a private company. It is clear the intent of the hospital was to do as little as possible. Does profit maximization at the expense of the patient come to mind? This hurts to the core. The most sickening portion of the incident occurred when the paramedic got to the house. The first thing they did before even touching her was to ask about insurance. The first thing they asked was about insurance. We told them she was on Medicare. They wanted to see the card. My wife was a bit frazzled and could not find the card in Granny's purse. They acted like they would not load her into the ambulance given the manner in which he said he needed the card. When Linda gave them the card, they loaded her up and they were off to the hospital. Granny had a procedure that went through her groin into her brain to extract the blood clot. He showed us before and after blood flow pictures. Granny is currently responsive, smiles and seems to understand but cannot speak, cannot swallow, or cannot stand. The hospital says that it is all they can do and that the family must get her out of there and into a facility. Hurry up. Get her to hell out of here. That is our healthcare system. You're on your own, baby. At the most vulnerable time, at a time when I see even my wife in her full state, my wife has lupus, sometimes get catatonic sitting down thinking, what are we gonna do? My mother doesn't have any money. My mother doesn't have this. What are we gonna do? Granny is on Social Security, very small check as she had low-paying jobs, Medicare via WellCare, and no kind of senior care insurance. Most people that you know, 80 to 90% of Americans, I guarantee you, don't have insurance that covers extended care. You hope, you pray to God that you are not going to be that one who vegetates and have to be cared for whatever lifespan you have thereafter. You know, I tell you what, I'm going to digress from my narrative here. Personally, this is nothing on my wife or anybody else, but I wrote a DNR. But my DNR is not a simple DNR. My stuff is, if it looks like I am going to live a pathetic life, take everything off. I don't want tubes. I don't want any of that. I am not going to give the hospital in my last few months of life or few weeks of life or few days of life all that we've worked for, all that I've worked for. I'm already spending much of what I've worked for to be a progressive activist, but that's a worthwhile investment. But to transfer everything, the only thing we've got left now is a home that's paid. To say that that will go to the healthcare companies that are pilfering America, it's nothing but a transfer of wealth from the middle class to the rich. I want people to understand that. And my wife was going around to different places. Where is she going to be? And you know what? They tell her, oh, does she have a home? You can just go ahead and put a reverse mortgage on it. And I mean, it just came out natural to them that for the last care of her life, she could not afford it. It is then one realizes how evil, immoral, and flawed our system is for those who least can afford health care. And folks, this is going to happen to a large percentage of baby boomers because we can keep them alive where they would have been dead before. We can keep them alive at a costly range. And saying, if you can keep the person alive or just let nature takes over, the way life is right now, there's something about some people that they think life, no matter what, is worth living. For me, no. For me, if I can't take care of myself, life ain't worth living. But I cannot expect everyone to have that narrative, nor should I attempt to put that onto anybody else. That's just me. I will not exist in a vegetative state. I will not exist unless I can be a full functioning human being. Now that said, Medicare will provide living services for a few months. But the first 20 days you can have it. They'll take care of it. But thereafter, for 100 days, you pay $170 a day. $170 a day. So you have a home. You have a home. The first thing they said, go take out a reverse mortgage on that so that you can transfer your monies to the healthcare companies. Folks, this is going to happen to you. We had no clue something like this could happen. Come on, it's never happened. But as people get older, these are the things that happen. For all practical purposes after that, you're on your own on the order of several $1,000s a month. It is a process that means you must give any accumulated wealth you have acquired over your lifetime to these profit centers masquerading as healthcare delivery services. I must repeat. Medicare will provide living services for a few months and rehabilitation for a few weeks. For all practical purposes after that, you are on your own on the order of several $1,000s a month. It is a process that means you must give any accumulated wealth you have acquired over your lifetime to these profit centers masquerading as healthcare delivery services. Then and only then does one qualify for Medicaid, after destitution, after the corporatocracy has taken everything that you're worth, after they act as those clean up parasites designed to take all the accumulated wealth, and then you die with nothing to pass along. That's our system. That is a system that they are telling that they're convincing baby boomers, that they're convincing older people that, hey, you want to have choice. You don't want that taken away from you because it'll hurt you. No, it'll hurt the companies that steal your wealth. It'll hurt the company that rips you off. It would hurt the companies who are nothing but thieves, thugs with a suit. Learn, people, learn, please. Share, people, share, please. Americans need to understand this because they don't. Because most people at any given time are not going through this. And by the time those who've gone through it are done, they're poor and they no longer have the wherewithal to be activists and say, this is wrong. It's already happened to me. Share, people, share. Support, people, support. We must come together and get against the corporatocracy, the plutocracy that's pilfering you. Earlier, Ali Velshi just had a story that says the most wealthy 500 people in the world, they own $5 trillion. Their income went up by 25% last year alone. Think about this, people. Think what the system is all about. Think about what can happen to you. It's not about me. I'm trying to figure out how are we going to work this out. I have a radio show. I'm trying to inform people about this. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. This stuff kills you. This stuff makes you poor. Continuing, only after you're destitute does Medicaid come in. This system only survives because at any given time, enough voters are not experiencing this pilfering. Every politician who has a high school education must understand this. Yet, they have allowed their wealthy benefactors to lead the debate on an inhumane system that prevents this economic and emotional carnage. My experience owning a business, the ordeal we are going through with Granny, the thousands that die every year from the inability to access health care, whether one has insurance or not, demands Medicare for all. The biggest lie is that we cannot afford it. The biggest lie is that we don't have the money. The biggest lie is that we can afford it, but right now what we have is a system that steals the money and give it to a few who are those billionaires that have those 500 guys that own $5.9 trillion and have gained 25% in that time. That's your money. That is what they are doing psychological warfare on you to make you believe that something that is good for you is not. People, understand this. We need you to understand what is happening in America. Every other country has figured it out. Every other country in the world, from Panama, my third world country of birth, the one that everybody calls a banana republic. Even my banana republic has Medicare for all. Seguro social is what we call it. Tú vas al seguro social para conseguir lo que necesitas. Está bien, eso es lo que pasa. La gente que son latinos ahora, es imperativo que me están escuchando. Es imperativo que comienzan a votar. Es imperativo que están en la sociedad total para reparar lo que está pasando por aquí, porque lo que está pasando aquí es del diablo. Es lo que hace el diablo a la gente. I am telling you, folks, what's occurring in America is not only evil, it's of the devil, if there is one. And for those who believe there is security in private insurance or employer-based insurance, remember that Cigna, other health insurance companies, put the healthcare of over 200,000 Houstonians at risk negotiating a contract. They walked away when Herman Hospital said, I'm not going to make that deal with you. You remember when they gave Obama a hard time and said, you can't keep your doctor? Well, guess what? Guess what? When Cigna walked away from Herman, it is telling all those people who have doctors at Herman, you got to look for another doctor. People, we fall for the con. We have to stop falling for the con. The corporatocracy is evil. There are few good corporations out there, but the maintenance of the shareholders at maximum value is evil. People die. Your family, your friends are hurting. This is not ideological. This is human. As my wife and her brothers and sisters struggle to decide how they will move forward with an expense they did not expect, I see the pain and worry. We must all activate our empathy gene. Our system's promotion of a false individualism is in contempt with our empathetic self. This is by design, for if we envision our system based on looking through the eyes of our fellow brothers and sisters, we would pass policies that mitigate likely the evilest healthcare system in the world. We may have the best technology that fewer and fewer people will have the ability to access. In 2020, let's vote in politicians that are willing to make the transformational changes we need for most of us. And let's make sure those who have adopted policies and talking points that harm are summarily dismissed. Folks, that is the blog of the week. Okay, folks, I hope you went through and listened to that. 713-526-5738 is the number, and all lines are open. 713-526-5738. Folks, this, when I went ahead and played that on my daily show a few days ago because when what occurred with my mother-in-law occurred, when she got the stroke, and by the way, unfortunately, she did not make it. Unfortunately, she did not make it. Phone's ringing. Unfortunately, she did not make it. The interesting thing about it is, you heard in the piece that I did, I spoke about DNRs and all that kind of stuff. But sadly, our reality as a country, and let me go ahead and take line one. Let's see. Come on in, line one. Just say hello and your name. Oops. I guess we dropped that. Anyway, we'll pick that up. Caller who I just accidentally dropped, please go ahead and call back. 713-526-5738 is the number. 713-526-5738. Okay, come on in, Willie.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. Started listening to you about like a month or two ago, and I called in before. And right now, I just want to say, I'm really grateful that you have this message out there, because it seems like you're one of so very few who want everyone to kind of wake up and smell the coffee and see, just what's happening right in front of us.
I appreciate that.
I feel like so hopeless sometimes. Like there's like no one's really listening. And everybody just wants to argue, and everybody gets caught up in the arguing,
Let me tell you, I am not hopeless at all. I have faith. And when I say faith, I'm not talking church-type faith. What I have faith in is what I am going to do, what you are going to do, and what others are going to do. I am going to have a woman who is a Trumpist, a woman who made national news on TV on one of my daily shows, and what she is we are going to talk the methodology that a lot of these folks are going through to deny their interest. She has no insurance, health insurance at all. She's living by paying things up cash because even Obamacare is not working for her. These are legitimate concerns of people, right? Once we address that, I mean, people think, we really can't reach these people. We can't reach these people because our plutocracy doesn't want us to reach those people. Those of us who take the stance and say, we are going to reach them, Willie, we're going to start making a difference. So please don't ever feel hopeless. Don't ever feel like nobody listens. Just remember that whenever we talk to anybody, whenever I speak to anybody, other people plant seeds in me, and my intent is to plant seeds in others as well.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so kindly, sir. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Ed. Ed, line 1, come on in.
How you doing, Egberto?
I am doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
I can feel your pain. My in-laws had to go to a home. They needed 24/7 care, and my wife is, bless her heart, she is doing good at taking care of it.
Right.
But you don't know how much work this is. You know, if you were a working person, I don't know how you would do this. All she does, because there's so much, I don't want to say bureaucracy, but there's crap.
Yes.
And so anyway, it's lucky that they have a little social.
Yeah,
they got some Social Security, they got some retirement, and he's got some VA benefits. But she wrote out a check to a lady, and this was like for 1 week, half of 1 week, for $1,700.
Yes.
To stay in there, because we had to do this stuff before we could get them to a place where they have 24/7.
Exactly. Let me tell you something, Ed. This is going to happen and hit a lot of people, especially now that we're taking care of our older baby boomer parents and the young Gen X, older Gen Xers. I mean, it's going to be a mess, and nobody wants to tell the American people the truth. They continue to lie about. In fact, right now you have Donald Trump telling folks, I'm supporting pre-existing conditions, as he's going to the Supreme Court to get it taken out. So what we have to do is engage people. Now, I have that story that you just told about your own mother-in-law. I tell you what, there's another video that I have here to play. I don't know if I'm going to get to it based on the telephone calls yet, but if I have a little spare time, I'm going to play that also. Sort of a similar situation that you're going through. I even have one with a breast cancer patient that shows how bad things are. I really want to get that one into, but thank you so kindly for calling, Ed.
All right, and thanks for what you do.
Take care. You have a great one. All right, let's go ahead. Brad, come on in, line 3.
Hey, Berto, how you doing?
I am doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
You know, I don't have a problem with. I do have a problem with socialized medicine. Okay, because here's the thing: I have no problem taking care of the person that got hit by the drunk driver, but I have a big problem taking care of the drunk driver.
Right. I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
So here's the thing. I think you're an honest guy for the most part.
Okay.
What did you eat this morning? If I may be so bold.
No, I know where you're going, and let me first tell you that.
I do.
No,
you do.
And I'm so happy that you went there. I
know you're not, because I'm going to have to put you in your place where you belong.
Actually, you're not going to, because I work out every day. I work out 5 days a week. I eat well, and I balance what I eat. I was a bad eater right here at KPFT. The emergency had to come and get me because my blood pressure was 240 over 140. And that was the turning point in my life where I took some of the messaging that I know you're about to give to all America here on my show. So I appreciate what you're talking about. But let me tell you, okay, first tell them people real quickly, because I want to get to the other calls. Tell them real quickly what you've told me before. Go ahead.
Well, I've told you last time. Well, one, just go to Walmart, and that's right there. You should not support socialized medicine if you see all the people waddle into Walmart, okay?
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you believe in socialized medicine, I want you to, when the vegans have their show, you know, when is it, Monday night or something?
Right.
I want you to be up there and you tell the vegans, hey, vegans, I want your hard-earned money to go to people who basically have been just living on a meat diet.
Right. Okay,
tell them
Brad,
that because you got these guys have prostate cancer,
Brad,
heart disease.
I got you. I want to stop you.
Tell the vegans that they need their money to go to people who basically eat dead animals.
Hear me a little bit here, okay? I understand you're punitive. You want to be punitive, okay? But here's the issue. Some people have the food problem that they have that really causes health issues, but there are a lot of different things that we as humans do that's not the most efficient thing to do. What my stance on your theory or what you're talking about is the following: from school age, from being young, if we instilled the appropriate eating habits, if we started as a country to change what America is built upon, then I would give that to you. But here's the deal. We have a cattle industry. We have a milk industry. We have all these industries that prevent the government from telling people certain things about different industries and what harms people and not. So when the blame that you want to put on all those people waddling into Walmart is not justified. You can talk about individualism, and that's the issue that I have a whole lot of problem with. When you have a corporatocracy that is telling people to buy ice cream, when you have a corporatocracy that is brainwashing people into doing all these things, I am a humanist. I feel for people. I understand that that we don't all have rock solid mental states that we can do as the right thing to do. So given that I know the majority of people in this country are not like the disciplined vegans that we have here on KPFT, not the majority of people have the wherewithal that you, Brad, have to do all the things right. I say as a society, we take reality into consideration. And once you take reality into consideration, then Medicare for all and all these things make sense in as much as you are going to be Mr. Perfect. That other person couldn't be, but we all know we're one humans. So that's my answer to you. Thank you so kindly for calling, Brad.
You got something to say. I'm not perfect. I'm 99.9% perfect. Okay, so get that right.
I forgive you for being 99% perfect. You have a great day, Brad.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Bobby. Come on in, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Well, first of all, I'd like to agree with most of what you're saying, most everything. Sorry about your mother-in-law, by the way.
Thank you so kindly, sir.
And you're right, about, I think we live in more of an oligarchy-type society where it's, controlled by, a few.
Right.
The powers that being, like these new technologies, the internal combustion motor's probably been outdated for 60 years or something, but it would disrupt. But as far as not having the money, if you look at the Department of Defense, like people say, that's impossible, we can't afford that. But you look at, let's say, the Department of Defense, who has misplaced or lost, I think it's $10 trillion in the last
it's a bunch.
decade, $10 trillion. I mean, money is what runs government. So we basically have a government within a government that is unaccountable to anyone,
Yes, sir.
These people, they're spending, trillions of dollars on, I would guess the space programs and underground bases for continuity of government in case of, a catastrophe, asteroidal impact or whatever. I understand those things, but the volumes of money that they're going through with no oversight is just, it's crazy. And, your last caller was talking about he doesn't want to take care of the drunk driver. Well, when you really look at it, if you got some 21-year-old kid, he goes into a bar, the guy who's serving him the drinks can sit there and see that he's getting drunk. But, people, like you said, they don't have compassion for another. He's going to keep selling them drinks. He don't care.
Right.
Usually, and you should, people make mistakes. So, you know what I mean? Things happen. This kid,
and
once he was drunk, then his ability to reason was gone, but the bartender kept serving him. You know what I mean?
Look, sir, and we have to realize that perfection is in short supply.
Right. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Now, with that being said, if somebody kills your kid drunk, and, that's just, our whole society is just like, it's like a joke, like they're going to, make, let's say, marijuana a Schedule 1 drug, just like as dangerous cocaine that has no benefits, but alcohol is legal. It's like every weekend in Houston, the driver's going the wrong way down the freeway and killing people.
I am so glad you brought up alcohol versus marijuana.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because alcohol is
legal, and it's on every corner. But
exactly,
people, they drink that, they want to beat up people, they want to drive the wrong way down the freeway. But yeah, we could afford all these things. And I'm completely, people, they start to think about socialism and they're scared of communism when you start to talk about socializing healthcare and stuff like that. But that's something that, we as a species, as a human species, should be, aspiring to be able to do. And so look out for one another. There's an abundance of money and wealth. There's enough wealth to cover everybody, but there's enough greed. With the greed that happened, it's like all within the smallest amount of hands. You look at these guys that got trillions of dollars in the bank, which is doing what? It's getting interest.
Bobby, I want to stop you.
Bobby, out of society.
I want to stop you for a second because I give you brought up the term greed, right? And Alan, I'm coming to you in a little bit. But here's the thing, Bobby. Everybody likes to say, oh, greed is what makes the world go round and all that kind of stuff they said. But somehow we only have a few greedy people. Because do you believe that those 500 people who accumulated $5.9 trillion dollars would
Right.
would be allowed to have all of that if we were all really greedy?
Well,
No.
let me ask you this. If we have a government, let's say we have a little clubhouse out in the woods. We're young, we're kids.
Right.
And we pay dues to be in this club. We each give the treasurer $1 a month.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to build a better clubhouse, at the end of the year. So we're all paying our dues, but at the end of the year, the treasurer's like, well, I lost 90% of your money. Are we going to keep him as our treasurer? We're
No.
going to be like, man, you need to get
Kick
the
him
fuck
out. No,
but
sir.
our government sits here and basically rapes us for trillions of dollars, and nobody cares
Right.
because we're too, concerned about who won the last football game.
But Bobby,
Yeah.
Bobby, that's why we have the KPFT, Politics Done Right. We are trying to change the paradigm. And you know what? Slowly, I am confident that as more of us get this type of an independent voice and avoid solely the voice that's trying to control you, the corporate voice, we will attain this. Bobby, I got to go to the other call, okay?
Okay.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good day.
kindly. You too, sir. Okay, let's go to Alan. Come on in, Alan.
Hey, Bertha.
Talk to me.
Yes, I live on less than $800 a month, Social Security,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that won't pay for rent or having a car or anything else they base your cost of living on. But anyway, one of the arguments that's not being made, should be, is that the people who don't have health care, who can't afford it, you can have contagion. You can tell those Republicans opposed to socialized medicine that, hey, that means you're going to be walking around with sick people who can infect you.
Alan, you
and,
just...
And the paperwork the doctors have to go through and all that's doubling the cost of everything. And that's governmental type bureaucracy right there that we
Alan,
already have.
Listen to me.
Thank you.
You just hit the nail on the head, and I've used that argument so many times when folks talk about, oh, we can't go ahead and insure the undocumented worker and all of that. Mind you, if you go to my third world country, my Panama, and you get sick, you run to Seguro Social. If you go to France and you get sick, you run to their doctors. Yes, you pay here a little bit here and there, but that's what you do. That is what you do. So don't let anybody fool you. The problem with America right now is we are not informing Americans appropriately because the corporatocracy is out there. They are out there lying to folks, and we have to get our voice.
Follow the dollar.
We have to get our voice. And you know what's happening though, Alan? With what we're doing here, with what we're doing independently on different media sources, guess what's happening? People are starting to get the voice. Take a look at where the polls are going. We hope it's going to be 2020. We hope. But see where the polls are going. And I'm not talking about ideological. I'm not talking about, Republican, Democrat, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? The people who are starting to talk and make sense. And then when they start to do that, they try to create these false narratives. And that is what we got to get
Many
around.
of our Green Party members are also members of Health Care for All Texas.
Hey, and
so
that
go
group...
to healthcareforalltexas.org.
Repeat it again. That's a very important site.
healthcareforalltexas.org.
Alan, thank you so kindly for calling. You have a wonderful day, okay? Lupita, I'm going to
Help
want to
to
play...
make it so.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to want to play the one that talks about the woman with breast cancer. That's important. I'm going to go over 2 minutes because I got another caller. So let's go ahead and take the other caller. Come on in, 210. Come on in.
Hello.
Hello, you're on.
Hi. This is Tina, and I was just calling to listen to your program, which is great. I just want to let everyone know that here in Texas, in San Antonio, and I'm not going to name the doctor, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and at that time when I was diagnosed, I had no insurance at all, none whatsoever. We have programs here in San Antonio that if people have a very low income, they would qualify, but if you're so-called middle income, I guess they call it that way, you don't qualify because there's a rate that they cut off, so they wouldn't help. So I went finally to a doctor that I was suggested that he could probably help me, which I went to. I did have the surgery done, and then when I went to see the oncologist, he had told me that most women that come into his office only come and get their breasts cut off, and then they walk out of the office, which to me I felt that was very unfortunate because all these women, if he says that, that's what he's quoting, that means that these women didn't get their chemo or the radiation.
Oh
And
my
I just
God.
felt so, I felt, you don't know how I felt.
Oh my God. So you're telling me they
Yes.
found cancer in the
Yes,
breast
this isn't,
and he just says, I'm going to
yes,
cut it off
and
and okay, the cancer is gone now. You're on your own.
most women that come into the clinic, they get their breast cut off and then they leave. I was just stunned because this all has to do with money. I was fighting for my life at that time. Of course, later on, quickly, we did find another oncologist that did accept me. But again, it came down to a financial matter. We had to sign papers over to it was just like a loan as a car payment, and sign the papers up that we would be responsible to pay the debt, as we keep going. It was something that we could afford at the time. We're still paying on it, mind you.
Oh my God.
We currently, yes, the radiation alone costs $18,000.
What?
$18,000.
And you're paying for that out of pocket.
Out of pocket.
Oh
And
my
but I just want all the viewers out there, everybody that's listening, you have to vote for Bernie Sanders. You've got to. It only makes sense because if this keeps up this way, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go into heavy debt and will go bankrupt, mind you.
Wow.
And I just wanted to call in so everybody could know what a cancer patient goes through because it's a high cost to pay.
Ma'am, your testimony is very important. Tina, thank you so kindly for calling into Politics Done Right. I am so happy that you're healthy now, but I'm so sorry for the debt that you had to incur personally to get healthy, something that is just a random occurrence. You have a wonderful day, Tina.
Thank you. I just want to shout out also for everybody in Texas. Wake up. Throw away your cowboy hats and wake up.
Thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that touches. That hurts. This guy, at least he gives service, but he cuts off a woman's breast and then just say, go home. That is our healthcare system, people. If you believe that that is all America has to offer, if you believe that that is the best we can do, then who the hell are we? Who the hell are we? If we have women in these conditions, who the hell are we? Medicare for all. Medicare for all. It's more than about money. Medicare for all. Okay, folks, I hope you heard the pain in that woman's voice. But she didn't call for herself only. She also called for all those women who are going to these doctors. They found, in other words, they don't have the money to get the surgery done. So, there's a few doctors who will cut a woman's breast off. But you know what? There's still the chemo. There's still the radiation. There's still the issues of taking care of these women. And you know what? There's nothing there for her. I need to go to the other video real quickly before I take any other calls. So let's go ahead and do the video with that, the other one. Thank you. Let me get to the caller. All right, 781, come on in. 781, how are you doing?
Hi, Egberto. It's Kathleen.
Kathleen, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, Kathleen.
Oh, great show, covering such a wide variety of topics.
Thank you.
But when you were talking about the reverse mortgage thing, and then you kind of were talking about health care, I have a friend who lives in Minnesota, and he's in his early 50s. Mm-hmm. His mom is in her 80s, mm-hmm. and she's very ill, and she's on Medicare. She's still living in her home by herself,
right?
But shouldn't be. She needs at-home care. Medicare won't cover it mm-hmm. because she has assets.
Right.
They want her to spend all her assets, the money she's saved, to pass on to her kids. They want her to deplete that before they'll give her
Medicaid.
The home health care.
Right.
Right. So she qualifies for Medicaid and home health care.
Right. Right.
And so right now my friend is working full-time and taking care of his mom, and his blood pressure, the last time I talked to him, he said it was 260 over, I forget what the bottom number was.
Oh my God, that's stroke blood pressure.
Yes, And he's on medication to control it, but it obviously isn't working. He's about to kill himself trying to take care of his mom.
You can't stay with that blood. I had 240 over 140 when the ambulance came to the radio station to check me out. From then I had to go ahead and get stringent. But that is terrible. Your friend is in trouble.
I know.
He needs you now.
Really
he needs your help, or he needs your support, or he needs something. But he's in trouble.
Yeah. Well, we talk all the time, but I mean, he needs solutions, is what he needs. And his mom is refusing to dip into his inheritance to pay for home health care. So he's in a bit of he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, it is sad because it's called a rundown or rate down or something like that. And what it is they will start giving you the care, but they will start billing your estate, right? And all of that eventually goes all back to them. A lot of people think Medicare is free money, or rather Medicaid is free money. Medicaid, they'll give you the Medicaid right away as long as you sign all that stuff over to them. And then they'll run it down.
The state told him she would not get Medicaid with the level of assets she has.
Right. What they told when we thought that my mother-in-law was going to have to do that, it would have been that they could have done this stuff called a rundown. In other words, Medicaid is run by the states, even though it's funded by the federal government. And it turns out that in Texas, there's something called a rundown or something, from what I understand. And what it is that they'll set up all the program, everything, and they'll run down all your assets for you. It's amazing. People just don't get it. It's taking your wealth back. And I tell you what's so funny about it, well, it's not funny, it's sad. They try to maximize the services that they provide to your person that is sick, that is. So that it's not even done on the cheap. It's done at the most expensive manner possible to deplete you as fast as possible. It's a shame.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know. No, that was it.
Look, thank you so kindly. And folks, you hear these stories. These are real stories that affect the average American citizen. And you know what? It affects you when you least expect it. Thank you so kindly for listening, and thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Egberto. Have a good night.
You too. All right, folks. That's another story that should wake us up, as one of our callers earlier said. I can take two quick calls. 713-526-5738. All lines are open. If you call real quick and want to say something real quick, I can take it real quickly. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I mean, these calls that come in, and one of the reasons that, again, these calls came in yesterday on the Politics Done Right Daily Show, but I wanted to kind of bring it on here on air in Houston, so that Houston and beyond, so that other people can see what many are going through, what a lot of folks will go through. And if we don't get with the program now, if we don't start saying 713-526-5738 is the number, 713-526-5738. I can take about two calls if you guys call in real quickly. Otherwise, we're going to come quickly to the close. And there comes the two calls. I'll just take the first one. All right, come on in, caller. What's your name? Caller, line one. Just say your name.
John.
Talk to me, John.
Oh, hi. I only caught the last half of your show about the health care.
Yes.
And I'm a wellness consultant. I've been doing this for 3 decades here in Houston. Used to be a producer down on KPFT a while back.
Right.
And the problem with our health care system is that the system itself is incompetent.
It's true.
Conventional medicine, the caller that called in about breast cancer and said, I can't get my chemo, my radiation, you don't want those, my dear. Those aren't solutions. There's a simple solution for all of our diseases. If you go to my website, I don't sell anything. I'm not trying to make any money. I have about 800 videos on my YouTube channel. It's all for free. I have a 2-hour seminar on how to take charge of your life. I don't sell any products. I can't even return the...
Okay, I got to go to the other caller. So real quick, if you want to say something real quick.
Well, disease is real simple. Doctors don't know the cause of disease. Our body has 2 main bathrooms. We eat and we eliminate. Our cells eat and they eliminate.
Caller who was there before, please give us a call back real quickly because I want to get you. You had something to say. Thank you so kindly for calling, sir.
You bet.
Bye-bye. All right, caller, call back real quickly. I hate leaving anybody hanging. Anyhow, folks, we have about 2 minutes. So if you call right back, we can get to you, sir, or ma'am, whoever called before. But anyhow, so it's important. It's important for us to become engaged. It's important for us to not believe what we're saying. I want to dispel lies real quickly. Medicare for all is not unaffordable. Medicare for all is a must because, to put it bluntly, that is the only way we could possibly afford health care. There's no magic to health care. Okay, line one, come on in. You're on. Come on in. See how it's real
Roberto.
quick. Yes, sir.
Man, thank you for having this show. You're going to have this show again. It's very informative. I lost my mother to a stroke in July. It was
so
a
sorry.
life-changing experience.
So
but
sorry,
what you were
sir.
saying about the hospital and how, things are, you were spot on, man.
Look, I appreciate you.
You were spot on, man, because when they came here, they want to ask for ID, this, that, and the other, and they had two things to tell me. They said that if we remove the blood clot, we're worried about the rushing of the blood and the swelling of the brain.
Right.
Well, she had the latter one, the swelling of the brain. Man, you got to have this show again. It was very informative. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so kindly, sir. You have a wonderful day. Okay, folks, I have about a minute to tell you what I need to tell you. Don't dare believe Medicare for all is unaffordable. It's essential. The math is absolute. And when I promise you, I'm an engineer by training. I went into political activism out of a must. A must. Medicare for all, the arithmetic is impossible to deny. The only people who can deny it is the same people who sell you snake oil. All the corporations have a lot vested in lying to you. We're talking from drug companies to hospital companies to insurance companies. They must lie to you because the big profits that the shareholders make off of your illness. And I'm not lying to you. You can look all of this up. Nobody wants to really put it on the mainstream media because they are paid. You see all those drug commercials that you see? You see all those hospital commercials that you see? There are a few people that have a vested interest in taking your money, in taking your assets, in taking all you have ever worked for and lived for. Please realize it's a big con. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and I want to thank you for listening. I am what? Out!